can't see anything.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to WDW Radio Live. I am Lou Mongello, and this is a very special edition of WDW Radio Live for Wednesday, March 18th, 2015. And tonight, I am so excited to be joined by a very, very special guest, world-renowned author, incredibly handsome, wonderfully charismatic, and dare I even say, maybe even a friend of mine. He is, depending on which side you're looking, he is, of course, Ridley Pearson. He is the author of the Kingdom Keepers series of books and countless other novels as well. He's plugged in. If you're watching in the box, we're also broadcasting on Meerkat. If you're watching on Meerkat and want to see and hear Ridley, go to WDWRadiolive.com. You can be part of the chat with, is it Mr. Pearson? Do you prefer Mr. Pearson or Your Eminence?
Yes, Eminence is fine. Yes, you're excellently.
I am so excited to have you back.
It's so special that I might make it 90th on your list.
I'm never going to live that down. I'm
looking for 90 first. What if I just send you one of these?
That works. Cash is work. So yeah, Ridley is not half jokingly. I did a list of who your favorite interviews, and I forgot I put you with Dave Barry. I didn't mention you separately, and I should have, because we have been doing this. I was just saying to you before we went live, we've been doing this for a long, long time. I keep on saying I knew you when.
Like 3 minutes at the moment.
Well, 3 minutes plus how many years? Because the first time I contacted you was when the very first Kingdom Keepers, which is sitting here on my shelf.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, well, it's the 10th anniversary.
No, it's not. No, so maybe it was Kingdom Keepers 2. I guess it was Kingdom Keepers 2.
It might have been 1.
It could have been 1. I'm on page 29, so I'm getting there. I'm actually getting through.
Get there. Keep reading.
Don't spoil.
Sometimes the best thing to do is to string the letters together. That way you don't just read like A-T-E space.
Oh,
you say E.
So I am thrilled and I am excited, as people who are in the box watching are as well, to have you back. I feel like we've been sort of growing up together, watching the Kingdom Keepers empire grow, watching the kids in the Kingdom Keepers grow,
and watching WDW Radio explode,
and watching my waistline explode as well. So this is what happened.
Hey, last time I saw you, you were svelte. I bet you're still svelte. You were drinking a lot of water, you said.
Yeah, and I was wearing Spanx. So.
Oh well, thank you very much.
Too much. So, listen, I think we did this last June. Normally what we do, too, is when you come down to Walt Disney World for book signings, we like streaming in the box. We're going to miss you this year. But there's a lot of exciting
stuff. What's with that this time, Lou?
It's my fault. It is. I'm unfortunately traveling.
Lou is leaving me.
I'm going to miss you by hours on both coasts.
You are. I know. That's so weird. And then you leave San Diego like an hour before I get there to do a signing.
Yeah. But listen, there's a lot of exciting stuff going on in the Kingdom Keepers universe. You have a new book that just came out. You've got another new book that's coming out, like, to bookend that. You're a busy man. You're like...
I am. Here's the new book. It's called The Syndrome. And I had wanted... I don't know how familiar you are with the series, and I'm not going to put you on the spot, but in the series there are these characters called the Fairleys, and it's 2 and sometimes 3 young women. Jess, oh my goodness, everything's going crazy on my end.
There you go.
Oh my word, what happened?
Sorry, I wanted to show your website with the series of books.
I see. You're doing things. That was really special. It was. Everything just exploded.
It's like Mission Control over here, and there's just one man trying to steer the whole ship. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. So I have really fallen in love. I mean, people have asked me who my favorite character is, and although it's hard to say, I think in a lot of ways it's Amanda. So I have finally written a book from the point of view of Amanda and Jez. So when you're reading, you're actually inside Amanda's head, and you're inside Jess's head, and to an extent you're inside Maddie Weaver's head, because at the beginning of the Syndrome, and now let me say you are viewing, now I'm going to see if I can do this. I'm going to go back here. At the beginning of the Syndrome, what would happen, Lou? You have at least one friend. No, you have a lot of friends, and so do the Kingdom Keepers. So what happens if your friends stop texting, stop emailing, and stop answering their phones? What's the first thing you're going to do, other than get new friends?
I was going to say, go out and buy new friends, or
Yeah, right.
I'm going to go find out what's wrong.
Okay, so that's exactly what happens to the Fairleys. However, the problem is that they are on the West Coast, because what could be cooler than being a Kingdom Keeper? I'm going to answer this for you rhetorically. That would be to be in Imagineering school.
Ooh.
So in the Syndrome, the Fairleys, Jess and Amanda, are already in the Imagineering school, Disney School of Imagineering, DSI, and a couple of the Kingdom Keepers are scheduled to arrive there in like September. But while they're back there, they lose track of their friends. And it drives Amanda crazy, because she kind of likes Finn in a big way. And she eventually talks the uppers at Disney into letting her have a few days to go look into this. And that gives way to the Syndrome. And the fun thing about the book is you're in Imagineering school, you're back east with Amanda, you're trying to solve this mystery, you'll learn more things about Barracks 14. It just gets crazier and crazier. So it's, for me, it really is one of the most fun books I've written in a couple of years, because I love first person narrative. I love writing as people,
Right.
And so, having a mad crush on Amanda, I got to finally be Amanda. That was really, really fun.
So we'll talk about your crush on your character.
Or not.
But the thing that I think I and people love about your books, other than the jealousy that we have because of the places that you get to go visit while you're researching them, is that you take us to places, both real and imagined in the mind of Ridley Pearson. You take us, underground at the Magic Kingdom. You take us in the attractions at Disneyland. You take us on the Disney Cruise Line. And now you're bringing us into someplace completely new to us and certainly foreign to all of us, because it's, again, partially from your own, is this School of Imagineering. And sort of that's, the biggest velvet rope we could imagine wanting to cross.
Yeah. And I think the really fun thing is the dormitory where they house these kids, which you'll see in The Return, the book that comes out in a couple of weeks. The dormitory where they house these kids has an eerie resemblance to the original building that Tower of Terror is made from. And so if you're familiar with that ride and with the backstory of that ride, and especially with the waiting area of that ride, you will be familiar with locations in the book, I hope. And it certainly gives me the creeps. So I hope it does you.
Yes, you do give me the creeps quite often. But so forgive me, because I'm trying to think back, and I don't remember where it was. And admittedly, I'm not completely caught up with the Insider and things. But at one point, didn't you say that this series was going to end and sort of the Kingdom? What sort of made you want to continue? I'm sure the fan reaction was, you need to keep writing. And was there something maybe burning inside of you saying that I need to keep, there's more story to tell?
Well, the series did end. So the Insider ended the first 7 books, and that's its own story. If you read that story has a beginning, a middle, and an end, which I don't like to have books stop selling or something and the series has no end. That drives me nuts, the idea of that. So I wrote that 7-book series, and I then wanted to write one of these first-person books, and Disney was kind enough to say, yes, please. They also encouraged me to write a second Kingdom Keepers series. But the dilemma I had was I did not want to be an author that wrote the same book and just changed the title.
Right.
Because I've seen some authors do that, especially in this sort of age group, even though these books seem to go from about 8 to 80. So I really, I thought and considered it very long and hard. I didn't want to I didn't want to hurt the Kingdom Keepers series because I love it.
Mhm.
And I thought, when Disney asked, is there a possibility of a second series? And I had some ideas. And I took a few of those ideas in my head on the road, starting at about book 5 of the original series. And I would actually have people vote when I was in my appearances. And I would say, okay, let's say I might do a second Kingdom Keepers series. Please raise your hand if you would want it to be the same characters. Okay, hands down. Please raise your hand if you'd want it to be inside the Disney theme parks. Hands down. Well, after 2 years of this, it was 50-50.
Wow.
And that surprised me. I was sure it was going to be one or the other.
Right.
And then I was going to try to think of a set of stories that I could make one way or the other. Because to have them both, I thought, well, heck, that's writing the same book again. I don't want to do that, So I was kind of flummoxed by this whole thing because I had an equal vote, characters, the same 5 characters, but also we want to be inside the Disney attractions after dark.
Right.
Well, I have a great and wonderful and thorough interaction with my readers. They helped me write book 7. They've helped write pieces of other books, including The Syndrome. And lo and behold, one day I got an email from a world-renowned cartoonist who said, my son and I were reading, he happens to know Dave Barry, that's how he got my email. And he said, my son and I were reading one of the Kingdom Keepers last night, 2 or 3 or 4 or something. And my son said, well, what about this idea, Dad? And this guy said, I was so impressed with the idea that I wanted to share it with you. Well, it solved all of my dilemma. And so thanks to a 10-year-old reader, we now have 3 new Kingdom Keepers books.
Wow. And that's the thing that's always impressed me about you. We'll talk about your interaction in person with your with your readers and how amazing of an experience it is to see that first person. But the fact that you tap into your audience, whether those kids are 6, 16, or 60, because you've got a wide spectrum of readers, you tap into them to find out, you really sort of keep your finger on the pulse of how they are feeling about the books, where they want it to go. You ask them to contribute fan art. You ask them to contribute parts of the book. They, like you said, they really sort of helped catapult you into an entire series. And there's no other author that I know of, because I don't know any other authors that actually do that.
That was funny. I got that. That was funny. Well, I think one of the things is that on this particular series and project, I feel so privileged that Disney's given me the access they have. And because so many of my readers and my interviewers, like Lou Mongello, know much more about this world than I could ever learn. I want feedback, and I want to know what people want, what they're thinking, and what excites them. Because I feel in a way I'm kind of channeling the Disney vibe that's out there into 300 pages each time I do this. And when I get these opportunities, I've had them almost 30 times now, to go backstage after hours. Scary things happen to me. I mean, honestly, I get a little spooked here and there. And I make note of it. And that's how I write the chapter. I just write the chapter literally coming from my experience. And people say, oh, you're making all this stuff up. And I go, yeah, but my crazy mind actually saw that stuff when I was in there.
So you don't necessarily have everything storyboarded out, and you know it, and you're just going to sort of verify things. It really is sort of coming together as you're experiencing it.
Yeah, I storyboard out certainly the character beginning, middle, and end, so that there are character arcs. And I plot the books intensely. But the chapter 11 might say they go into a Disney attraction and thus happens.
Right.
So then I have to go and research it, do that, and inevitably something else happens instead of what I had planned. But at least I have an outline so that if it's just a pretty common experience in there, I can still write it the way I want. But gosh, I mean, 8 out of 10 times something amazes me, and that becomes the focus of the chapter.
Yeah, and it's amazing for us to be able to sort of experience it, not just through you, but through these characters. And we were kidding around before about sort of growing up together and watching, and I think we've known each other for, 7 years now, whatever it's been since. But you are watching your audience grow up, and I see people who are in the box saying, I grew up on the Kingdom Keeper series of books. Like you are for them what maybe when I was a kid was their Lord of the Rings or their Harry Potter. It's the same type of thing.
That part is so rewarding. I was just in Disneyland and we social media'd that I was there, and a bunch of people came up to meet me. And most of them, if not maybe all but one actually, were in or leaving college. Mm-hmm. And they said, I started this when I was 12 years old, 13 years old, and I'm still totally into it. And I just said, bless your hearts, because I'm a lot older than you and I'm still really into it. So, what is fun is that those readers, there are readers who are just aging through the series with me. But they seem to be having as much fun as I, writing it, reading it. And we get these new readers that are 10, 12, 13 years old. And I go into their schools and they're totally excited. And a lot of moms and dads have written me and said, we couldn't get Jimmy reading. And then we started reading Kingdom Keepers aloud, and he took the book away from us, and he's reading like a madman now. That's the best pay an author gets.
That's
right
what
there.
I've heard a lot was parents who bought the books to read to their kids and were so fascinated. When the kids would fall asleep, they would take the book inside and read it themselves.
Actually, I've gotten that too, yeah.
So people in the box. So, for example, Redhead Brown says, I started reading Kingdom Keepers at age 12, same age as Finn. And where is it? Now I'm 22, still loving every page. Ed Charbonnet says, I'm 41. I love the series. Somebody else I just saw said that they were 49 or 50. So WhatsApp01 says, I'm 49 and I've read them all. And that's what I mean.
That just honestly keeps me going right there, because there's a reason to keep doing this. I have so much fun doing this, and I'm honored actually that people would spend time with me in these parks and in these books to whet their appetite, and possibly yours as well. My associate Jen and I just spent basically 2 days with and at the Disney archives. And they have let us into stuff that many people never get to see. And it's all going to show up in books 2 and 3. I had done the same thing for book 1. So there's already stuff in there. And then I was able to go back and say, okay, here's what's happening in book 2. Oh, come on in. Let's, So, I mean, that experience has been so incredible. And you may ask, which you have not yet.
Oh, I'm getting there. Because when you talk about things like going to the archives and going to Imagineering and going, into the hull of the bowels of the Disney dream, you're very much teetering on the line between excitement and envy when you say that to people.
Yeah, well, I hope it's excitement. I see things like this. So I was, has that broadcast yet?
Yeah. We see it.
Yeah. Okay. So I was invited by the Disney Channel to film a Disney 365 for the new book, The Return, Disneylands. And that's how I saw Main Street last Monday night. For the first time ever, the channel, which has just been so good to me, allowed me to go in with the film crew after hours, just as I do on my research. So I'm going to sneeze here. Excuse me. So after the park shut down, they kept some of the lights on, and is it Joy Bragg from Maddie and Liv?
Liv and Maddie.
From Liv, Maddie, and Tori, whom I just love, who's done so many of these with me. The three of us were in there bopping around on rides and in attractions when it shut down, just as I did. And it's just such a special, different place.
Yeah.
And these, the two, Tori and Joey, were just blown away by it. They were jumping up and down and running up and down the streets because there's nobody there. And we could talk into a walkie-talkie and they'd shut all the lights off or turn a few on. And, it's just crazy that Disney lets me do this. But it's so, so fun. And I try to, bring that excitement to the reader.
And you really, that's the thing too, the unprecedented access that you have, that you've been able to translate so well into the book and paint such a vivid picture through the words is remarkable.
Well, I hope that's what happens. Here's a shot of the dormitory for the Disney Imagineer students.
Oh, so you're going to show okay. It looks somewhat familiar.
It does look somewhat familiar, but not so burned out, huh?
It looks somewhat familiar.
But in pretty good shape.
Not
right?
Too shabby. For those of you who are on Meerkat, Ridley is showing some images that he's talking about that are reference points in the book, and a building that looks remarkably like a certain hotel in Hollywood. So
it does. It does. So thanks to this kid, this young man named Nick, I've come up with 3 books called The Return, and the first one is called Disney New Word Lands.
Okay.
And here's what that looks like.
I dig that cover, man. Holy smokes, I dig that cover.
I really like the cover. So, because we like giving people in the box.
I even chose the right cup tonight, just because I knew
You did.
who I was
That is
talking
a heck of a cup. We like giving people in the box material that nobody else gets, right? Because Lou Mongello brings it to you first. So why don't we get some guesses from people in the box about how on earth I can still be writing a book with the 5 Kingdom Keepers in it and the parks in it, but in a new way. And I can imagine several different ways because a few of these were in my outlines.
So how are you writing a book? I'm
anybody's out there,
right. How are you writing a book?
Just your wife in the kitchen who's pretending to be all these people. But if anybody is out there, start guessing at ways that these books could be made a little different than other books.
How are these books? So how are these books made a little bit different than other books by returning to the parks and still having the same 5 characters?
Precisely.
As people are, the box is a little bit behind, so people are saying the Allie Disney Girl says the cover looks awesome. She says it seems like Maleficent must return too. Point of view of the villain says MDD 1086.
That would be awfully cool. We're gonna have to do a series like that. I agree with that.
A time jump, a resurrection of Maleficent, an alternate world in the future.
What was the time jump?
Time jump.
Who said time jump?
Tobinoff.
Let's offline get Tobinoff's address and I'll send him an autographed copy.
Oh wow, boy! I would have started guessing if I knew I could get an autographed copy. Yeah, so a couple of other people said
I don't want to publish anything like that, but if you have a way to do that, Lou, that's exactly what it is. So
Tobinoff, just send me your address and I'll forward it over to Ridley's people. He's got a team of people behind him.
Oh man, I got so many people. It's just this guy and that guy.
Your people have people, which is nice. So
yeah, I'm just schizoid, so I have many people. So how does one get from now till then? Let's get that into the box.
So how do they get from now till then? So people are talking about, they're loving this idea of time travel, alternate universe.
And why are we loving it? We're loving it because it isn't the same parks. Right. That's why I loved it.
They say they use the magic WDW Magic Band.
They said they're on the island from Lost.
What is the WDW Magic Band?
We actually have WDW Radio.
One of the wristbands? What are you, forging wristbands now?
No, we have WDW Radio Magic Band covers. We need to talk offline. For the Magic Band.
Park stuff?
Yeah. So these are
How did you get it branded like that? That is so cool.
Ridley, I got people too. I'm going to drop.
Man, you got more people than people know what to do
I
with.
will talk to you
I want some
offline.
KK branded ones.
Yeah, right, Jen. We got to get some of these Kingdom Keeper ones.
How cool is that?
Oh, totally.
And Ridley can sign one and give it away to a.
I'm writing a note.
Mind blown. Good night, everybody. Just walk off stage. Just drop the mic and walk off
This
stage.
is what I'm sending to Broganoff or whatever it is.
Tobinoff. Wow.
Tobinoff. We have any answers in there yet?
So Allie Disney Girl has. She says.
Hey, Allie Disney Girl. She's a great.
She's already
member.
read the syndrome, so she doesn't want to spoil it for everybody. Cat's 27, and I missed a bunch of people in the box, so forgive me. She said helping Walt design Disneyland. Carousel of Progress is a time machine.
Wait, what was that?
The Carousel of Progress is a time machine.
Man, who's that?
That's Herbie53, Texas.
We got to be sending something. We're going to send them a copy of the syndrome. Here's my share screen.
Ah, interesting.
But Herbie of Texas was right there. So if you combine these two, you are into the first couple chapters of the Return Disneylands. Well done.
Wow.
So that person's going to get. I'm telling my associate because I got people, man.
Have
I got people?
You got peeps.
I got people. I got person. But we're going to send a copy of the syndrome to that person.
Nice. And the Disneylands, just so people know, the Disneylands releases on the 31st, correct?
Correct. And syndrome is out. Hopefully Texas doesn't have syndrome. If they do, we'll have to figure out something else to send them. So here's the big giveaway to our jump. And I suppose people can social media this. I'm trying to not be a spoiler because this is a real spoiler. So if you don't want to see this, people, look away.
Turn your eyes.
If you are going to look here for a minute, you're gonna get a big spoiler for the return. Here we go. And
so I won't say it to the people who are watching on Meerkat or maybe who have looked away.
And I will end it now.
A very interesting picture.
But anyway, that picture should fill the gap between our very clever. Now, wouldn't you know that people in the box could get this stuff? I bet I could ask 100 people and I wouldn't have gotten the right answers. And your people, Lou, you do have people.
I do have people.
Your people get them in a matter of seconds.
Not only are they ridiculously good looking, but they're very, very smart too. So
they are good looking. I went on your cruise.
That's right. And actually, you have somebody in the box. Where is it? You have Ridley's sidekick in the box. So
that's me.
That's Jennifer.
You see your people.
My associate. Are you my sidekick now?
Yeah.
I got sidekicks.
Wow. You really are a superhero.
Check it out, man. I got sidekicks.
You're a superhero. And speaking of being a superhero, people like Beatrice Feeney, when we were talking about your interaction with your fans, she said that, whenever you see Ridley Pearson in person, you immediately make them feel like they're the only person in the room, number one, among hundreds, but you make them feel like you are their friend. Because I know that that's how they view you because, again, they've been with you so long.
I don't know about that. I mean, I sure try to show people the respect that people show me. And I think we all, what I hear this great story about. Oh, there's some NBA guys. You'd get a kick out of this, Lou, because you're so great with your charity work.
And I'm in the NBA.
But there are NBA guys known to evidently just, because they travel so much. And there were one or two that are now retired, but I guess the tradition is carried on. And these guys would just grab a street person off the street and show them full respect and buy them a hotel room, get them cleaned up, buy them new clothes, and then head off to the next city.
Wow.
I mean, talk about showing people respect. But I'm so honored to write these books. It sounds so corny, but I really am. And I know that this relationship I have with Disney is just surreal. And that I suppose at any point it could come to an end. And it's just so fun to meet people who actually spend time reading my books. I mean, there's so many great books out there that the fact that they would spend time to read mine is, it's the ultimate compliment. And they mean the world to me. I mean, they really do. Without my readers, I don't have a job, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I really do honor and value every reader I meet. And I hope they know that. I mean, whether or not I shake hands or say hi, it literally means the world to me. And without them, I don't have a job. You know, without listeners and watching, you don't have a job. I mean, you know, it really is a kind of family, and especially the Kingdom Keepers, because of the whole Disney thing. It really is a big family. So, I mean, I'm just sort of honored to be a member of the family.
And I see it. You know, I watch it when I've come to your book signings and I've come to your events. Again, people are lined up for hours. People drive for hours to see you, to be you, to get your signature on their book or to ask you a single question. And I think what I love about you in the total bromance kind of way is that you realize that people's time is their most valuable commodity. And whether they're spending their time...
Think of your and my time. I write 11 hours a day. I mean, you know, and I know there was a family when you and I were there. There was a family who'd driven from Ohio or someplace. They'd driven 12 hours.
Yeah.
They got out of their car. They stood in line. They shook my hand. They got back in the car and drove home. And it was like, you're kidding me.
Yeah.
They didn't even come down from the park.
Right.
They came down for like 4 seconds with me. And the hard part of any signing is you only get, 15, 20 seconds. And that frustrates me as a person. So I try to get there early if there's a line and spend some time with the people. So I actually have some quality time, because otherwise it's, hey, how are you? Who do you want this address to? Goodbye. And they've been standing there for 90 minutes.
Yeah, but I've seen it, and because I've seen it in other book signings, and authors don't do it. And
yeah,
you look them in the eye. You don't just look down. What name? You're not. It's not an assembly line.
Oh yeah. Well, I want to know.
People who are, right. You want to hear their story.
I do. There's so many, and as you know, their stories are so different and so valued. I mean, the books have helped autistic kids. The books have helped dyslexia kids. The books have helped special needs kids in wheelchairs. It goes on and on. And that just stuns me whenever we get those stories. It stuns me that they have that reach. You just don't think of that when you're typing something about Maleficent putting a spell on somebody.
You don't realize the impact that you potentially, the positive impact you potentially have on somebody's life.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it gets you out of bed in the morning, gets you typing. I mean, that's the stuff, I'm writing my 53rd and 54th book.
Cow.
I mean, I could stop writing books, but I can't stop writing when I'm getting those kinds of...
You should keep writing, because you're going to get the hang of this one day. Like, eventually...
I'm working on it. I'll tell you, it never feels like you do, but I'm working on
it. Speaking of meeting you in person, I'm going to pull this up for people who are watching on Ustream. You have got, like, a whirlwind, crazy book tour, and I love the fact, unfortunately, I'm missing it. You're kicking it off, as you often do, in downtown Disney at Once Upon a Toy. Next week, March 20, a week from today, you're going to kick it off in downtown Disney. But then you go over to Scottsdale, Arizona, Anaheim over at Disneyland, Glendale.
Yeah, I do a couple of events at Disneyland, one in their downtown Disney area, one inside the park.
I'm going to miss you at the Mysterious Galaxy. I just dig the name, in San Diego, San Jose, Naperville, Illinois, St. Louis, Missouri, Wichita, Beaver Creek, Haverford, Pennsylvania, right where I used to go to school. Woodstock, Georgia, back to Kissimmee at Books A Million, Tampa, and Coral Gables. Man,
I had so much fun in Tampa a couple of years ago. Oh my gosh, we had a blast.
How do you find time to write with such a busy schedule? Because these are, you've also got your adult series of books, and you've got... You've hit the nail on the head here. In fact, my sidekick, I now realize my employee associate. She so needs a cape.
My sidekick and I were just...
I do need a cape.
You do need a cape. Yeah, she is kind of a...
Get this woman a cape.
We were just talking today about how I absolutely have to keep writing. So in all that, somewhere we need to find me 3 to 4 hours a day just for me to tread water and keep my chin above these stories. Because if I don't write for a day or two, I've got to reread my own story to know where I was going. I have to keep writing.
Well, I remember on the cruise, like you were, and look, you were so generous with your time on the cruise with the people.
Oh, I had a blast on that.
But you just, you needed that little, you said, look, I just need an hour. I need 2 hours just to sort of brain dump the stuff on paper.
Just to kind of touch the story a bit. So you go, okay, I remember,
Yeah.
So yeah, somehow we're going to figure it out. Uh-oh. My associate is about to throw up.
People are saying apes, and then one of them says, just no tights for Ridley.
No tights for Ridley. Come on, these are skinny legs, man. Look at these legs. Hang on, dude. There's my leg.
Well, that's not something you see on the box every day. I would do that, but I'm in yoga pants, so I can't.
I used to back in the prehistoric days when I was in a rock and roll band in Sun Valley, Idaho, for 2 years running. One of the gigs we played. This is one of the most fun things you can do, Lou, if you ever want to raise money. It was to raise money for a good cause, and it was instead of like a wet T-shirt contest or something that just gets gross, this was a legs contest. And so there's like a blanket stretched across the stage, and it's put down at the level of the contestant. So all you can see are the contestants' legs, calves, shoes, that kind of thing. And one after another goes, and you vote. Well, the person who won the first year was a guy. He had the best legs of any woman there. So anyway, it was a really fun thing.
Mara295 said, next on WDW Radio, twerking with Ridley. So there you go.
I don't know how to twerk, but I wanted to show that my legs aren't that fat.
People are talking again about the cruise. We had, nearly 500 people coming on. They said having you on the cruise was so amazing. It was so much fun. They loved the scavenger hunt. They want to do it again. They're linking up to, I see your capeless sidekick is linking up to your appearance page, which, by the way, if you're watching here or here, wherever you're watching, go to ridleypearson.com and you can click. By the way, I love the new site, by the way. It's beautiful. It's clean, easily navigable.
That's my sidekick. She's nodding, congratulating herself.
That's pretty stuff, because it was a horror show before. So I can.
She's got a really clean site going up there. That cruise was so much fun. And you get a kick out of this just to show the reach of your fandom. It is not at all uncommon. In fact, I would say it's probably 50-50 these days that when I do a Kingdom Keepers appearance, at least one of the persons was on that cruise. It's really interesting.
We have to do it again. We were talking offline. We've got to figure out another.
It's really interesting how far and wide, because I'm talking about California, Texas. I go to these places, and sure enough, there is a Lou fan who was on the cruise with us.
Not a fan, a friend. I don't have fans. I have friends.
Sure. That's what I say. Parents will often put a sticker in the book that says, to Mark, my favorite fan, or your number one fan. I don't at all look at these people as fans. I look at them as readers. Yeah. And so I always change that, and I say, my number one reader. But fan to me has this sort of bad connotation. And I'm not worthy of fandom anyway. I love it if I have readers. That thrills me. And there are definite people that are, they've read the books 3, 4, 5 times, and they are way up there on number one readers. But I'm with you. I don't love the word fan.
Well, I think your readers they feel like they're your friend because of the way you treat them, because of the way you interact with them, because of the way you talk with them. And I think those people too, it's not sort of fandom where you're somebody up on a pedestal because you're so accessible. And I think those readers, those friends become your most loyal evangelists, right? The people who are spreading the word about the Kingdom Keepers book are the Kingdom Keepers readers themselves, saying you need to go and read this.
Well, that's fun. Well, it's people like Brooke and Jessica Kim and others who have been there from the start and have just turned into, they sort of were interns for a while, and now they're just part of the Ridley Pearson writer family. And
that's the thing. Like you took people who were fans of the book, and then you really integrated that and said, look, you know more about the books than I do. You can help me with this. And then you brought it into the fold. Right.
That's the case of Brooke Mushat. She literally knows better than I, and it's embarrassing. because now I don't even bother to like open one of the books and look it up. I just text her and say, "Hey, Brooke, where's the one where they were in the backyard with the lawnmower?" And she goes, "Oh, well, that was in," and she knows it right away. And it just shows you the difference between a young mind and an old mind.
That's true. And look, you want to watch out for the people that say that they're your number one fan, because I'm sure you've read Misery and you know Stephen.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're redoing Misery.
Are they really? I don't, man.
Yeah.
Kathy Bates creeped me to creep out with the no spoiler alert, with Jimmy Kahn's ankles. Come on, man. That's
I think they're doing it as a stage play.
Real a musical? Is it Misery?
I love to hurt you. It really, really fun.
I will tell you, we used to drive back and forth to Florida every year, and I read Misery in less than a day.
I loved that book. Don't get me started on Stephen's books, because he just, he's so one of a kind. You not only can read them in a day, but then you can read them 3 more times. You get something out of them every time.
The Stand is my favorite.
Mine too.
I love The Stand.
To me, if there's only one Stephen King book in 300 years on a library shelf, it's going to have to be The Stand.
Yeah, and they're redoing this. They're making that into a movie or a TV special or something.
Are they really?
Yeah,
that's a third inclination then. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched the first one with Molly Ringwald and Gary Sinise over and over again. But
there's nothing like that book.
No.
That opening scene where that creep is walking across Idaho, which is where I second home. I can't get that image out of my head, and it's just a dude walking on a highway, and I'm already scared of him.
And it is. It's scary in not a blood and gore kind of way.
No,
No,
in an ideological way.
Yeah. Well, and I think, look, that's the hallmark of a brilliant writer like yourself, is being able to look. Despite what I wanted, there's no pictures in these books, but but you paint such a vivid picture.
Not the front of the books.
That's it. That's why I'm only on page 29. I just keep staring at the cover. You paint such a beautiful picture. And look, we know these parks like the back of our hands. And we can see where you're going. You're sort of in your mind's eye, you know exactly where you're talking about.
Yeah, well, and again, that's what's a little scary for me, is that the reader often knows much more than the author, and that's a dangerous place to be. So I try to do as much research as I can and consult people like Brooke and Jessica and others at the archives, Becky and Kevin. And because I do not want to put something down there that your viewers would say, "Oh, that's so not there. That was like there 12 years ago. Who is this stupid dude?"
But if certain things are, and you take some poetic license.
There's some licenses you have to
right?
take.
You have to. Yeah.
No, I definitely bend the edges a bit, but got to do it.
But that's what makes it fun, and it's funny because people have said that they go back to the parks. And they say, yeah, this is where this happened in book 2. This is what happened in book 3, or they're looking for a specific spot that you talked about on The Dream or whatever it may be.
Yeah. Oh, man, don't talk to me about those cruises. I love those cruises. Now, when's your next cruise, Lou?
So we're going to Alaska, actually, in, God, what's the countdown, guys? Is it 70 some odd days, 60 some odd days?
Oh, my gosh. Are you filled up?
No, there's always room for Ridley Pearson, by the way.
You still taking people?
You're still taking people. Maybe your next book should take place in Alaska and you can come on a research trip.
No kidding.
Right?
Well, that is a great cruise. I did that cruise as a speaker a number of years ago with Holland America or someone like that, and it was fabulous. But there's nothing like a Disney cruise.
Yeah, and it's my first. I've never been. So.
People, at dinner, I was in Scottsdale, Arizona 2 nights ago, and I was talking to some people at dinner, and they had taken their kids and their grandkids. They'd taken 11 people on a Disney cruise.
Wow!
And so we were sharing about Disney cruises, and the woman Sally said, "The thing is I just can't believe we only booked a 3-night cruise." Yeah. Because now I wish we'd done a 7. And I said, yeah, and Marcel and I did the 15-nighter from, Cape Canaveral to us. I want to do a 15-nighter. The thing about Disney cruises is you do even a day or 2 and you want to do 10 times that.
Yeah, and that's why the repeat rate is so high. And it's hard to compare versus other cruises. So I've seen this word countless times in the box, and I've tried to avoid it. But we got to talk about the elephant in the room because it's the question you get asked, I'm sure, one of the questions you get asked most often, other than "Are you single?" and number 2, Kingdom Keepers movie.
The Kingdom Keepers movie. No word. Wish there were. It's as I'm sure I've reported before. We have had probably 3 different times over the last 10 years that it seemed as if the company was really motivated to do a movie. And then, they would change this president or that guy or whatever, and they'd lose their interest. And then it would take a few years. And it's very self-serving. So I hesitate to even say this, but the truth of the matter is, and you who know Disney so well, Lou, will probably not, maybe you'll make fun of me at this, but the truth of the matter is, the more copies of the books I sell, the more chance we're going to get a movie.
Yeah.
And I hate to make it that crass, but if you tell your friend, and your friend tells a friend, and your friend's friend tells a friend, we'll get a movie. Because what Disney responds to is numbers.
Sure.
And we are getting really big numbers in this series.
I see it.
I mean, really growing, but that's all they're going to respond to.
Yeah. And like I said, I've seen it, from when the first couple of books came out to now. You see billboards in the parks, and you're doing signings in the parks, and so you can definitely see the snowball rolling. And look, maybe timing is everything, man. We're in the age of the superhero movie. What better than to have these teenage heroes set in Disney World? I think Tomorrowland is maybe a good indicator. Like, okay, they're paying attention to the parks, and there's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of buzz about.
Boy, does that look good?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Have you seen anything more than we have?
I have not.
Boy, I'm excited that trailer. I mean, I'll see George Clooney read a phone book, but I think that thing is going to be amazing.
Yeah, I think so too. I definitely
very
think so
clever
too.
of them to do that. I think.
Yeah.
I didn't love Maleficent. I'll just go on the record here in the box, because I think it's really damaging when you have an iconic villain who is all over everybody's list as the top 1, 2, or 3 villain in all of Disney's history, and then you decide, a group of guys in some room decide they're going to make her sympathetic.
Right.
And I walked out. I mean,
Yeah,
I just could not take it. It just cut me to my stomach that they would take such a great villain and make her sympathetic. Yeah. And I thought, who are you people that are going to make me feel sorry for this wonderful creep of a witch?
But that was the thing.
I know the movie did unbelievably well. They'll probably make Maleficent 5, 6, and 7. But it really turned my stomach. So I'm sorry, people, but I did not care for the movie.
But I think that was because I think the interesting thing was what you just said was, whether you liked it or not, they made you feel sympathy for this this character you've known for decades is such a horrible villain.
Well, I can make you feel sympathy too. Just cut off my wings.
Right.
I mean, they did that in the first 3 minutes of the movie. It was like, oh, come on. Sure, if you cut some guy's legs off.
And the fact that Angelina Jolie made it easier to, give me a hug. Just come here and give me a hug. I'll make things all better for you.
Yeah, you just wanted a wing to put in your claw.
So let me see. They're asking now, if it can't be a movie, can it be a TV series on ABC?
Yeah, that's other things we've discussed.
They want to kickstart it. They want to kickstart the Kingdom Keepers movie. So
God bless them. What I'm lobbying for now, I haven't actually taken this to Disney yet, but I ran it by my editor just a few days ago, and she liked it. I would like to see a Kim Possible kind of cartoon for Disney XD. A 30-minute high-adventure cartoon of the Kingdom Keepers. And I think that could be so much fun for a year or two.
I was even thinking something like, have you seen Star Wars Rebels? The CG Star Wars Rebels? Where you it is computer generated? Yeah, it's CG. It's on Disney XD. And again, it's like Kingdom Keepers and like, Gravity Falls. I don't know if it's sort of made for a younger audience, but it's resonating with an old. Look, I love Gravity Falls. I think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant TV. But I think Kingdom Keepers could do the same thing, and maybe that's the platform for it.
Yeah, I'd really like to approach them on it and just say, come on. I mean, thanks to your viewers out there, we're selling millions of books now. And it just seems like, come on, let's get this thing going. But who knows?
Yeah, people are asking for everything. They want games. They want comic books. action figures. Oh, if I had a little Ridley Pearson action figure, I could put up. Not a Ridley. They want.
No, a fan. I tried to get Disney Publishing to do graphic novels for like 3 years in a row, but they never did do them. And then it turned out I have some readers who are about as good as anybody else at graphic novels, and I was half tempted to just do one myself, but it all takes. I'm sorry, but it all takes numbers.
Yeah.
We're close. We're close to getting their attention on all this, I think.
Yeah. Well, and
much closer than we were 2 or 3 books ago.
Sure, and I think you made you sort of hinted to what the fans are creating on their own. And look, again, I've seen this in person.
I love that stuff.
They interpret in their mind what these characters look like. They put it down on paper. I remember, not Moira, begins with an M. She
came to one of our deals.
She stood in line for hours.
I really like her.
Yeah, and she had her sketchbook, and she waited patiently for you to finish because you gave her. You went over the 2 hours you're supposed to be there, and you gave her time. But the stuff that they're putting out is brilliant. And look, you have T-shirt contests, and it's. I love what
we've got a shirt coming out for the Kingdom Keepers tour on our site. Well, I mean, it's out now, and it's. Is it two? I think it's 2 different pieces of reader art, right?
It's the same guy who did.
It's the same guy. So the same guy did both the pieces of art on it.
Yeah, I'm showing it right now to the people who are watching.
People that came up to me in Disneyland, and he's well in college, if not out of college now, and a phenomenal artist. And we said to him, well, we're thinking of doing this shirt. We wanted to use this one thing you did, but we need to balance it with a second piece. Do you think, in a couple of weeks you could get something to us? The next day, he had the perfect piece of art in Jen's inbox. There we were.
Yeah. They interpret it in their mind, and it ends up sort of coordinating with what you did. Yeah, so there's if you go to the Ridley Pearson site, there's a link to where you can buy there's cool shirts, Kingdom Keeper shirts. And again, they're not just for kids, they're adults too. I have to get myself a Syndrome shirt. I dig the Kingdom Keeper shirts. I love your
logo. That's fun. We've got a lot of fun product up there. Not that we make any money at it, but Jen keeps working her tail off to get it up there. And it's fun to see people with totes and mugs and all these things. It's really great.
Yeah. So somebody, Techie91, had a good idea. What about a game set on the Disney Infinity game system?
What is that?
So Disney Infinity is it's a gaming system where you buy individual characters and you put them on this portal, and you become that character in these environments. Either you play through adventures or you create your own worlds. Yeah.
You could become Finn or the different characters. Love that. Write that down, sidekick. That's a great idea, Techie.
That came from WDW Techie91. Disney lovers asking when you're going to Downtown Disney. You're going to be in Downtown Disney March 25th at Once Upon a Toy from 4 to 6 p.m. And on the 26th, you'd be at the Writer Stop at the soon-to-be-renamed Hollywood Studios from 9 a.m. to 11. And 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., it's going to end up being longer because the line is way too long. And you don't cut it off, man. You don't say, hey.
Oh, no, I'm not.
God bless you.
Excuse me. I have a little bit of a cold tonight. I don't even understand why we do cut it off, but eventually Disney cuts it off, and sometimes I say, meet me over at the lemonade stand in about 20 minutes. I did that in Disneyland last year. We had our own little group over there for the next 30 minutes. It was great fun.
Is the Kingdom Keepers online game still going on?
No, but Kingdom Keepers Insider is huge and really fun. It's thekingdomkeepersinsider.com, and there's an app on every platform. And we have contests on there. We have writing contests. And for the return, all the chapter, every now and then you'll see these chapter headings, and those were all contributed by Kingdom Keepers Insiders. I didn't write any of those.
We try to
bring readers into this stuff however we can. I just love encouraging people to be creative.
Okay, so you actually can set up a username and...
Yeah. And there are notices on there, and it's a really fun thing. I mean, that's where we had 150,000 people on there helping me to write the Insider.
Wow. That's
which
crazy.
was really fun.
That's a crazy number.
That was a crazy number because it started out at 300. Because I had told them when they did this, I said, couldn't we do something where some people help me write the book? Because I have about 300 people that write me emails, and they're really clever and sharp, but I can't use anything because it would be stealing from them. And so Disney eventually worked with a company called Colloquy, and they built this app, the Kingdom Keepers Insider. And the very first week we had 300 to 400 people, and I said, see, I warned them. I said, now don't spend a lot of money on this because it may only be 300 or 400 people. But Disney said, no, we're going to spend a ton of money on this. And Colloquy said, don't worry, it'll be more than 300 or 400 people. But the first week, it was 300 or 400 people. And I went, nah, 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 nah. Well, the second week, it was 1,500. The third week, I think it was 15,000.
Wow.
The fourth week, it was 25,000. And by the time we were well into the book, we had 150,000 people who'd come and gone from this site and helped us.
That's insane.
It was amazing.
That's insane. So DJ the Replay is watching you on the big screen. I think he's streaming this on his Apple TV or his Roku.
All right.
Redhead Brown, Jen, write this down, says they want a Kingdom Keepers logo pin, like an I'm a member or I'm a keeper pin.
Go on the Zazzle site.
Do we have it?
There you go.
Yeah, if you go on to the RidleyPearson.com, and then there's a Zazzle site we tie to, and Jen says there are pins that way.
Or just go to Ridley's house. Just email me. I'll send you Ridley's address. You can just knock on his door. He's got tons of them.
One of these days, Lou, I got to dig around in here. So, yeah, here you go. One of these days for a fundraiser, you and I have still. Let me see if I can get this right side. I don't know if you can see this, but when Dave Barry and I wrote Peter and the Starcatchers and Peter and the Shadow Thieves and all those books, the first two books, Disney made special pins.
Wow. It's nice.
And I don't think they might have even done it for one of the Kingdom Keepers. But so I have 2 or 3 of these, and someday I will auction them off for zillions of dollars for charity, and all $9 that somebody would pay.
KK
but
the
I know
Return
there are
says
out there.
he or she has that pin. KK the Return, obviously.
Who does?
KK the Return in the box.
Has the one that I have.
It says I have that pin. Yep.
Ask that person. Is there a Kingdom Keepers pin? There might be somewhere. What keys to a car I sold once.
You get a car. You get a car. You get a car.
Hey, here's the best pen you've ever owned. I got to buy you one of these pens.
Is that the space
This is a hand-built pen
really?
by a guy in California. And it's just, I got to send you one, Lou. These things are just absolutely the most stellar pen in the universe.
I'm going to send you, if you think that's good, I'm going to send you one of these. Because this is pretty...
What, do you have a pic there?
Yeah, I'll send you a whole box. Jared Shadowbreaker says, Ridley, will there ever be a small series about just the Fairleys?
Tool. Also a good pen. Well, let me just go back to the beginning of this discussion. Because right here,
I'm setting you up.
ladies and gentlemen, right now, at a store near you, because this book is out, is The Syndrome. Finders, Keepers, Losers, Sleepers. Very catchy, huh, Lou? And that is a book about and in the heads of the Fairleys, because I love the Fairleys. And I believe the publishing house is waiting to see how this book is received. But I heard just the other day they might want others of these if it's selling as well as they hope it'll sell. So that would be cool because I loved doing this book.
So how long does it take you to put a book like The Syndrome together?
Well, The Syndrome was a very special book because I actually brought 3 very creative young women in with me. Elizabeth Hegelnacher and Brooke Mushat and Ali Lazar and others. Who else did I bring in? Well, I had probably one of the most important was, shoot me with a harpoon here.
Those are the ones that are mentioned in the book.
Yeah, no, the editor of the whole thing.
Oh, Wendy?
Who's my favorite person on earth.
Lou Mongello?
How do you like that?
Did you hear
Lou Mongello, that's right. But yeah, so I brought in, so on that one, I wrote this massive outline. I wrote Amanda's point of view, and then I hired two young women to write the point of view of Jess and the point of view of Maddie. And then I hired a young woman to edit the whole thing with me. And so it was a very collaborative process. And because of that, it took about 8 months, whereas normally the books take 12 to 14 months, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, they're long projects. Samantha Frank is the editor. And she was amazing because here was a girl who was in one of my writing classes here. I volunteer teach every now and then here. And she's a terrific writer. And I noticed that she was pretty good at editing. And I said, would you give a try at editing this with me? Because we have to have all the voices agreed.
Right.
You know, we can't have one person says we went into a box and the other person says we went into a door. And so Samantha started editing and she did a marvelous job, just an amazing job. And recently gave a senior speech testimonial where she said she just found this whole new love of editing through doing this project. So it was super fun.
I just had a question from somebody else. Said,
we don't answer questions.
Yeah, well, we'll just make them up. Zach G541 said, do you ever think there'll be a Kingdom Keepers interactive game in the Magic Kingdom like the Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom game that's in there now?
Funny you should say that because the early plan for that was the Kingdom Keepers.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't for the Sorcerer's Magic or whatever, but that's what quickly it became. The Disney Imagineers had a really cool interactive idea 5, 6, 7 years ago.
I remember the thing that you showed me in the parks that we were playing with that time.
Remember how cool it was? Yeah. But it became sort of this. And, maybe someday they'll reskin one or two of them to be Kingdom Keepers. That would sure be fun. And in the meantime, for groups of 10 or more, if you contact Youth Educational Services, even if you're a couple families or a big family, you can take the Kingdom Keepers Quest, which is a language arts and math puzzle that leads you through the park as a Kingdom Keeper. And I wrote them. I wrote one for the Magic Kingdom, and I think 80-some thousand kids took it. So they did another one at, I spent most of last year writing one for the Animal Kingdom, and that's installed now. So 2 of the parks have these like 4-hour quests to be a Kingdom Keeper through math and language arts. Mostly it's done by school groups, but if you have a group of 10 or more and you contact YES, they give you discount tickets, and then they give you the pamphlets and everything that take you through. And I happen to think they're a ton of fun. I mean, I've done them with school groups a number of times, and we've had a blast.
What age range are they necessarily geared towards?
I think 8 or 9 and up. They seem to be highly successful at about 14, 15 and up.
Okay. So I meet the height requirement. As long as they don't card me, I'm fine.
Yeah.
What are you laughing at, Jen? You're supposed to
Middle
laugh at
school
that.
for sure. Middle readers, yeah. The height requirement.
Let's see. All right, so I just want to make sure I've gotten out all the stuff we want to make sure we share with everybody, because I know your time is valuable. Syndrome is out now, available in bookstores if you still have any of those, and Amazon.com. You can also go to RidleyPearson.com and find it there. The Return Disneylands.
Plug in.
I'm going to pull that up. There you go. The Return Disneyland. That comes out on the 31st, correct?
Disneyland's comes out on the 31st.
That is,
the Return Disneyland.
You are not holding up Disneyland's right now. That is.
Wrong. Disneyland is the 31st. The Syndrome is out now. If it isn't in your bookstore, hit them over the head with your shoe and tell them to order it. I'm going to be all over the country doing things. But the fun thing is, Lou, is that if you like these books and want them for yourself or for a friend, you can get them autographed at my home store. I just drive downtown and sign books and autograph them personally to you. So on our site, I think we have a link somewhere through to Left Bank Books in St. Louis. And we get dozens and dozens of orders a week, and I run down there and, to Sarah, to Martha, to whatever. So if you can't make it to one of my signings, but you'd like a personalized book, makes it a little more special, a little more fun. If you want to give them as a gift, something like that, let Left Bank Books know through our website, and I'm happy to go do that. It's something I do every week. So
nice. And people are asking, Jen, I'm sure if they're coming down to Once Upon a Toy and a writer stop, the Syndrome will be. Syndrome will be available there. Correct?
Yes.
The Syndrome and the Return, and you need a wristband, whatever that means. I have no idea what that means, but you need one.
Somebody did ask, and not to put you on the spot, that if they brought their copy of Kingdom Keepers 1, would you sign that as well?
I will, but I don't think they'll let me, right?
I think 2 books down there.
They're going to put some restrictions on it, but all I can tell you is meet me by the lemonade stand. Wink, wink. So, I mean, the people who bring the shopping bags full of books,
right.
Jen will be there with me, and she'll just say, after this, he's going to go stand by this bench over there for a few minutes, and there's no way I'm having people bring their books and not get them signed. So I have to honor what the parks want to do. I get that. They don't want to slow the line down. But if you want to bring the books, I'm perfectly happy afterwards to meet you for 5 minutes. And if there's 10 people that need some books signed, I'll do that. So yes, you'll get your book signed. It may seem a little uncomfortable at the time because they may say, "Oh, we can't do that." Just know that that's not me saying that. That's the park trying to keep things moving.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think that reflects badly on the author, but it's not me going, "I'm only going to sign 2 books there. And if you don't want to pay me a fortune, I really can't do any of this."
Well, at least, the nice thing is that Jen doesn't bring her taser anymore, because that was awkward.
Yeah.
Like tasing kids left and
those
right.
hurt. We learned that it's not
not
way
cool.
to encourage readers. But if we can, if it's at all humanly possible, we will go find a quiet corner somewhere and sign some extra books.
And that, my friend, is what makes you special. It's not these books. These books are not that great, but all around you're such a good guy. That's why we read them. So.
Oh, well, thanks for that.
Anything else I'm missing? Anything else we want to get in here? And
just how much I'm going to miss you in that line. Many years now, I think it's been 3 or 4 years we've done this
we're doing this for
live from the line with Lou, and we have had so much fun. And you are sorely missed, my friend.
I know. I remember a couple of years ago, you literally, when I was still doing it from the laptop, you just grabbed the laptop and took off. And I'm like,
it was fun.
Ridley Pearson just took my computer. Yeah, you make it fun. You walk the line ahead of time, and especially people are standing outside in the heat for hours, and you're so good about that.
Yeah, well, thanks.
Well, I know there'll be people.
I will miss you, and I hope we can connect in the near future.
Yeah, we are definitely going to do something together. I'll talk to the Cape Crusader over there.
I'm coming back down to Kissimmee, right?
Yes.
Isn't that right there? Is Kissimmee right there?
Sure.
I'm coming back down to Kissimmee to do. Is that a store or is that a school?
That is a store.
Yeah, I'm doing a store in Kissimmee a few weeks later, so maybe we can meet for a dinner or something.
Let's see, that's April 11th.
Yep.
April 11th. Are you gone again?
I think I'm getting on a plane that day at like 3:00 to go to Las Vegas. But if not, I'm there. If not, I will be
sure.
There. If not, I will.
Mr. Lou Mongello, ladies and gentlemen, the busiest voice on the internet.
No. I'm just seeing if there's any other last questions here in the box.
Hey, I just love the box, by the way. Oh, here's my version of the box.
So
I can't quite get in there, but I'm trying.
You always make it fun, my friend, and I am honored to call you my friend. It is always such a great ride with you.
We have a lot of fun together,
and you're so generous with your time, and the people.
As are you.
The people in the box love you, and I understand why. So.
As are you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. RidleyPearson.com. If you're watching on Meerkat, go to RidleyPearson.com. Follow him online. He is at Ridley Pearson. Is it Facebook.com/Ridley Pearson?
It's all Ridley Pearson. I think
everything's at Ridley
my
Pearson.
sidekick has finally figured out how it's Ridley Pearson everywhere.
Yes, he is Ridley Pearson everywhere.
Instagram and all those good things.
And go check out The Syndrome. I'm pointing to both boxes at the same time. The Syndrome and The Return Disneylands. And when you see Ridley, don't forget, he loves hugs. Just run up to him and give him a big old hug.
Give me a good hug.
There you go. You, sir, are
Bye
awesome.
to everyone in the box.
You guys in the box are awesome. Thank you guys for watching. Join me again next week, WDW Radio Live at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. I also appreciate your time and your friendship and your support. Don't forget to go out and vote, by the way. Podcastawards.com, 6 days left. I love you guys. Thanks. See ya. Ridley, don't go anywhere.
I won't. I didn't know how to do it. I figured you knew how to do it.